beautiful people, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Gianna Lian and we're back with a monthly reading wrap up. But because I didn't show you guys what I read in June and because I haven't shown you guys what I read in July yet, we're combining the two, and these are all the books that I read in June and July. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts, my opinions, my ratings, if I recommend them to you. And spoiler alert, we have a lot of variety going on. Obviously I wanted to pick up lots of summer reads because of the season that we're in right now, and there's something about reading a cringy little rom-com during the summertime. Tell me I'm wrong. But we also have some other random books that I decided to pick up throughout these last 2 months that were interesting to say the least. So you guys are in for a treat. This is gonna be a good video. We're gonna talk about lots of books, which getting into some statistics because we have a lot this time around. So we read 14 books total in the past 2 months, which isn't that big of a surprise, but we read 7 physical books, 4 Kindle Unlimited books, and we listened to 3 audiobooks. I actually took advantage of the audiobooks this month, you guys. I was kind of in the mood for them, surprisingly. We'll definitely get into all of those. But before we do, make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I just wanted to do a little tiny segment to thank you guys because I woke up this morning when I'm filming this to 16,000 beautiful people. So just wanted to give you guys a big thank you for that. It is unreal how fast we are growing and I'm so freaking grateful. You have no idea. So huge shout out to you guys and a big thanks. The first book I read was This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune, her newest release, and she's definitely my go-to buy author. She normally releases a new book every single summer, and it's normally summer coded, which as you can see this year's release was. So this was really anticipated for me, you guys, but it was a letdown. It was a pretty big letdown, and it kind of sucks because I'm still waiting for that book that's gonna live up to Every Summer After because that's one of my favorite reads of all time. So I'm sad that this was another disappointment, but it wasn't terrible. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm pretty sure this is featured in a reading vlog if I'm not mistaken, so if you want more thoughts, I'm pretty sure it's in one. But yeah, I feel like I rated this a 3 out of 5 because it wasn't as good as Every Summer After, and just because the plot was kind of all over the place in this one. Literally the only good part of it was that it was based in PEI. So I got to know what it was like to live on a coastal little island, just get those type of summer vibes. But other than that, I wasn't a big fan of the characters. I wasn't a big fan of the plot. Just the rest of the book kind of icked me out, if that makes sense. But Carly Fortune is the queen of second chance romances. So we obviously have another second chance romance going on between Lucy and Felix. And it does switch between past and present timelines, which Carly Fortune, again, always does the best job with that. But not only is it second chance romance, but it's also best friend's brother. So that's where the chaos gets thrown into this book, and there's a whole lot of tension, there's a whole lot of problems, lots of friendships at stake. It just gets a little bit messy, but I was looking for more. And yeah, that's basically all I can say about this book. I'm kind of in between on this one to recommend you guys, to be honest, because I feel like it is a good summer read, but then again, it's not my all-time favorite that I would really try to convince you guys to read. So I don't know. Should I recommend this to you guys? I just don't know. Let's just say it's a maybe. We have a lot of books to get through, guys, so I'm gonna try my best not to blab too much about each book because then this video would be extremely long. So this book literally feels like I read it a lifetime ago. It does not feel like I read this in June, but Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle. I really hated this book, you guys. I rated it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I guess I didn't really hate it, but I just know now that I've given Rebecca Searle 2 chances now, and I'm just not a fan of her books. I've tried to really enjoy them, but it's just something about her concepts. I think they're definitely unique because they are based around things that would never actually happen in real life, but I just don't end up liking them in the end, and it freaking sucks because it truly seems interesting. This one specifically is based on Daphne, and every single relationship she gets into, she receives a note telling her how long she's gonna be in that relationship. So example could be like John. That was such a random name. So it will say John on the piece of paper, and then it will tell her like they're gonna be together for 2 weeks. And that's basically how her relationships have gone her whole entire life. But then she receives a note that is completely blank. It has the person's name, but it doesn't show how long she's gonna be with them. So now Daphne needs to figure out what that means. If that means this person is her soulmate, she just doesn't know. So that's basically the plot of your book. And it seems interesting, right? Something that obviously would never happen in real life, but interesting nonetheless. And it just got repetitive, extremely repetitive. And I feel like with the plot of it, that makes sense because she's obviously going trial and error of all the relationships she's been through and like trying to find the one, but it just got too repetitive to the point where it was annoying. I also didn't really love Daphne as a main character, and the whole book revolves around her life, so it just wasn't for me. This author has also written One Italian Summer that I read. I also personally didn't like that, but a lot of people have loved that book, so if you did enjoy that book, then I would recommend this to you because you probably would like it, but personally for me, I just don't recommend. Switching gears completely, I read Butcher and Black Blackbird by Brynn Weaver. Wow, was I in for a ride with this one, you guys. This one genuinely blew my mind because I was so shocked on how graphic this was and just how in-depth Brynn Weaver's writing got. Not only the gory parts, because let me tell you, she went in detail for those too, but just kind of how she built up the characters and the crimes that these two characters were committing. There was so much thought behind all of it, and I feel like she really described every single detail in this book to the point that it made me feel like I was transported into this book, which I personally did not want to because of how dark and disturbing it was. But when you're reading this type of book, you kind of want to feel that way. So props to Brynn Weaver for that. And I genuinely, when I tell you guys this was aiming to be around 4.5 out of 5 stars the first 75% of the book, but the last bit fell off so hard, and I know a lot of other people that have read this book has said the same thing, and I couldn't agree more with them. This book dropped down all the way to a 3 out of 5 stars, you guys. I just really was not content with the ending, and just the second half of the book kind of got really slow and uninteresting. There was the same things happening over and over again. But if you don't know anything about this book, because it's very popular, we have two serial killers and their paths cross unintentionally. They basically decide to come up with like a game where they find a serial killer every single year and they race to see who can kill that serial killer first. And it's just like a yearly meetup that they do, but they end up spending more and more time together, and we all know how that goes. It's just extremely gory. So that's my biggest warning to you guys, is check the trigger warnings. Brynn Weaver actually does give you a whole trigger warning list because there's a lot of them, but just do your extra research because it is extremely dark. Overall, I would recommend it to you guys if you are into dark things. It was extremely intriguing, and it did have me on the edge of my seat most of the time, besides the ending. And I'm pretty sure this was also my June book club pick with my Patreons as well. And if you haven't joined that book club, make sure you check that link down in my description because we're gonna be choosing our August read, and I want you guys to be a part of it if you aren't already. Then we read Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in the Chestnut Spring series, and I'm just loving this series, you guys. I truly do not want it to end because I'm so attached to these characters and this whole world. Like, Wishing Well Ranch truly has such a special part in my heart, and I feel like I've been there. With all the books that I've read so far in the series, it just keeps getting more and more realistic to me, so I'm truly enjoying this series. But this was not my favorite book out of the series, I can't lie. I still ended up rating it a 4 out of 5 because I got lots of the other characters in the series. I still got this world, so I enjoyed that. I think it was just this couple that I didn't really enjoy, which surprised me because I absolutely love Jasper and I absolutely love Salome, at least the little snippets that we got from the previous books, but them having their own book just kind of was disappointing. Actually, maybe it was a spice, because when I was reading this book and the spice scenes would come up, I did not think it was Elsie Silver's writing. I was shocked. I was like, wow, Elsie Silver's spice changed a lot. So that kind of threw me off guard, and it just wasn't enjoyable spice, if that makes sense. I don't know. There was just a few parts that were off about it, and I think because it shocked me, it also disappointed me because I wasn't expecting it to be so much different than the other two books, but I still enjoyed it because it is a part of this series. I'm so excited to read Reckless, I think is the next one in the series, and then I'm almost done the series, guys. That's sad. That's scary. I want to be a part of this series forever. So yeah. I can't really say that I recommend this book specifically to you guys because it is the third one in the series and you have to read them in order. You have to. I know it's like depicted as standalones in a series, but I think you guys have to start from the beginning. So the series as a whole, of course, 100,000% I recommend to you guys. This book, I don't really recommend because it was my least favorite so far. Then I listened to my first audiobook of the 2 months, and it was The Dare by Natasha Preston, I'm pretty sure. I did not like this, you guys, at all. And I think I also didn't like it because I didn't like the book as a whole, and I also didn't like the audiobook version. Like, I feel like I would have liked it a little bit better if I read the actual book rather than just listen to the audiobook, because there was something about the audiobook that wasn't hooking me. Maybe it was the audiobook author's voice, to be honest, because I did find it extremely annoying. But I ended up rating this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It started off stronger than it finished, let's just say that. It is a YA murder mystery vibe going on between senior high school students, so that intrigued me, and me knowing that it was YA, I thought it was gonna be super fast-paced, just not use like a lot of brain power, and that is what it was, but it just felt kind of silly. Like, having the book revolve around a murder mystery, I feel like it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. But the friend group that this follows is basically known as like the outcast group, and since it's their senior year, they obviously have senior pranks. But there's like this one guy in their high school that's kind of known as like the bad boy, or everyone's scared of him. And instead of everyone just playing pranks as a whole, this one guy decides to give all these other students dares and pranks, and if they don't do them, then he'll like blackmail them and make their life like a living hell basically. So everyone is terrified to get a dare or a prank by this guy. He seems to want to target this outcast group, so they get in a predicament of one of their dares, and let's just say they end up having a body on their hands. They have to get rid of it. And that's kind of where this whole story kind of starts and goes downhill, and then everything else follows. I didn't really like the ending. The beginning was super fast paced, but then slowly it just got really slow and unenjoyable. And also I did not like where the book was going the second half. There was a few things that happened that I can't say, else I'm spoiling it, that I was like, why would the author throw that in there? That was not needed. That was kind of almost a filler to make the book more interesting, but really it just kind of ruined it. I'm trying not to be too harsh on the books that I really didn't like, because obviously these are my opinions and I don't want to rip the book apart, but then again, these are my genuine feelings on why I didn't necessarily enjoy it. I would definitely try another book by her, but this one I personally didn't love, so I wouldn't really recommend this one. I also forgot to say at the beginning of the video, I'm extremely sunburnt. Like crazy from the beach yesterday. Then I read King of Wrath by Anna Huang. This was a very random pickup, to be honest. I shouldn't be starting new series, but I kind of enjoyed this one, you guys. I definitely enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. I rated this a 3.75 out of 5 stars, and the billionaire vibes of this book were giving. Let's just say that. I was obsessed with the whole billionaire royalty vibes that I was getting from this. It is the first one in the Kings of Sin series, I'm pretty sure, and Anna Huang is one of my favorite authors. She did write the Twisted series, which is definitely a very loved series by me, so I was excited to see what this series had in store by her. The one thing that kind of threw me off going into this book is I don't really like arranged marriage situations, and this book definitely has that trope, so I was definitely a little bit nervous, but as I was reading it, I didn't mind the arranged marriage that much because there was so much else going on in the book that it kind of distracted me from that, because there was lots of family problems going on. I feel like that was one of the biggest issues, to be honest. And then obviously the social media, the parties and enemies, there was just a whole lot going on. So if you want a billionaire romance that is arranged marriage but doesn't focus really too much on it, and you want to start a new series, definitely recommend this book. I definitely am excited to pick up the second book in this series. I'm pretty sure they all are on Kindle Unlimited, or at least the ones that are out so far, so definitely looking forward to continue this series. So far, reading the first one, recommend it to you guys. Then we read a very anticipated series that I thought I was really gonna like, The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the first book in this series, and I want to say that this was my biggest disappointment out of all the books that I read in the last 2 months, to be honest. I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. I sadly did not enjoy this. It was actually in my vacation reading vlog, and I don't know what happened, you guys. Genuinely, I thought I was really gonna like this because from the description, yes, everyone says that it's like Criminal Mind coded as a book, but I thought it was gonna be similar to the Mindfuck series, which is one of my favorite series of all time. And I did get those vibes, but it kind of took it in the opposite direction of what I was thinking. So that might be a problem on my part, but I was disappointed nonetheless. I was super interested in the whole aspect of this group of teenagers that have natural abilities, because I wanted to know what they could do and like how they can use their abilities and stuff like that. So that part was super interesting, but it kind of went downhill when we obviously started focusing on one of the characters and her natural ability, because she was kind of trying to solve the case of her mom alongside some of the other connected cold cases. So I wish we got more than one case going on, I feel like, is what I'm trying to say. Instead of it just being focused solely on like the one character, I wanted them to solve more than one case. But I mean, it was a super short book, so I feel like maybe each book revolves around a different cold case. I have no idea. I probably will not be continuing this series, so I probably will never know. I'm just really sad that I didn't like this. So from me, I personally do not recommend this, but I'm sure if you watched a lot of other reviews, a lot of other people would say, yes, read this, it's such a good book. For me personally, it just was a no. Then I read 7 Summers by Paige Toon. I rated this 3 out of 5. I love the cover though. I'm pretty sure half the rating of those 3 stars definitely went to the cover, because this book was not summer. This book was not screaming summer. There was like nothing summer about it. Genuinely, I don't even know where it's based in. Liv and Finn meet working in a bar on the rugged Cornish coastline. It's not giving summer, you guys. This book was extremely boring. I feel like it was all character based, but not in a good way. The characters were kind of boring. They didn't have a lot going on in their lives. They both wanted each other so bad, but didn't want to sacrifice anything to actually be together. So instead, they decide, okay, let's do this little fling tonight, and then I'll see you in a year. I obviously want you, but I'm not gonna stay single for you. So I was like, what the heck is going on? This is like so weird. I feel like that's just terrible. If you want someone that bad, you're gonna stay loyal or maybe get into a relationship and do the long distance or make the sacrifice to live closer to each other. It didn't make sense to me. So that as a whole kind of ruined it for me. But I do want to mention the trigger warning of grief in this book because I feel like that's a very big topic throughout the whole entirety of the book. Yes, it becomes more talked about throughout the book and more so towards the end, but there's definitely mentions all throughout pretty frequently. So if that's not something you want to read about, I definitely would avoid this book. But personally, I would avoid it as a whole because I didn't enjoy it. Like I said, the only props I can give it is the cover, because other than that, wasn't giving summer, wasn't giving these amazing vibes. Then I read another Kindle Unlimited book. We're kind of switching more to the psychological thriller route after finishing 7 Summers. We read Every Last Secret by A.R. Tours. This whole description seems extremely interesting. We have 2 wives trying to fight over a husband. Like, one wife in a relationship is trying to steal the other wife's husband, which was intriguing. Like, let's be honest here. We love the toxic vibes going on, but what was even the point of the book? There was no point to this book whatsoever. It is super short though, but even with it just being 300 pages, I felt like it was too long. It was too slow paced, kind of repetitive in the way that the one wife was kind of doing the same things over and over again to convince the husband to like leave his other wife. They would go to the same places over and over again. They would try to sneak around over and over again at the same places, and it was just so annoying. It got on my nerves. So I rated that 3 out of 5 because, like I said, it was such a fast-paced read and it was something that I haven't really read about, so it kind of just got a very average rating from me. But the one thing I can say, and probably the only thing I can say that I actually enjoyed, was that it was based on rich people. So you are getting those like luxury money vibes, but that's about it. I probably would not recommend this to you guys. But A.R. Tour has a bunch of other Kindle Unlimited books over on Kindle. Maybe I'll give her other books a try, but this one just personally wasn't my favorite. It's so hard for me to explain my thoughts on these books, you guys, because I've been in the weirdest reading mood. I've said that a couple times in the last few videos where I've read these books, but it feels like I haven't read them. Like, I generally either don't remember anything about them or I didn't enjoy them enough to actually store any information in my brain. So my reviews are so all over the place and probably don't even make sense, but that's just how my brain's working with this weird reading mood. The next few books were all like Kindle Unlimited or audiobooks, but the next one was Smarkle Summer by Kristen Rockaway. I genuinely enjoyed this one, you guys. I did read this in my vacation reading vlog as well, and I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. I rated it 4 out of 5. This one is also under 300 pages, and it was just giving summer vibes. Definitely way more than this book. This book gave no summer vibes whatsoever, but Smarkle Summer did, because our main character basically gets an opportunity to tutor one of the richest men in the world, well, the book world. She gets to tutor his daughter, but they're going on like a 3-month Europe trip on a yacht. So all she has to do is just tutor the kid for like 4 hours a day, and other than that, she gets to explore everywhere that they go and live on a yacht. Seems like perfect vibes, right? So yeah, I really just enjoyed the vibes going on in this book. The romance was okay. I wasn't really focused on the romance. I was more so focused on the relationship that she had with the daughter and obviously the father-daughter relationship, because that was kind of strained. So I was more interested in that aspect rather than the whole romance that actually ended up happening with the book. But it is pretty closed door. So if you want like a super fast-paced summer read, I'm pretty sure it was fully closed door. It's definitely a really fast summer read that I would recommend to you guys, especially if you're going to the beach for the day and you just want to read something on Kindle Unlimited or just bring your Kindle. It's definitely a perfect read for that. Then I listened to One Greek Sunrise by an author I cannot remember her name right now. This was just a really silly, ridiculous audiobook, you guys. I was definitely giggling out loud on the plane when I was coming home from my trip and I was listening to this audiobook. I was definitely giggling out loud and I definitely got people looking at me, but it was so freaking funny because of how ridiculous it was, because of how insta-love, unrealistic, and just bizarre. Half the book didn't make sense, but that was the fun of it, because I was just there for the vibes. I was there for the whole book being based on Corfu in Greece. I probably mispronounced that, I'm sorry. And the couple was just a little bit weird. There was just so many different things going on in this book besides the aspect of it being based in Greece that just did not make sense at all. How the couple got together, the 2 completely different personalities that our main characters had, it just was a mess. But it was funny, it was a good good time nonetheless. So I would recommend it for one of those audiobooks that you don't need to have any brain power. You can be doing literally anything and still just kind of cue into the funny parts of the book and still have a good time. I also listened to a new release, Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. I was shocked by this book, you guys, because picking it up, I read another summer book by her last year and I didn't really enjoy it, but this one surprised me because of how freaking cute it was. I rated this a 3.5 out of 5 stars, I'm pretty sure, and I listened to it in under 2 days because I was genuinely so hooked to seeing like what happened in the story. I feel like Annabelle Monaghan definitely went up the ladder for my go-to authors now because of how much I enjoyed it, and it was just cute because of all the found family in it. There was lots of family aspects in it, a lot of growth in it, a lot of sacrifices being made, but in a good way for family and to like bring people together, which was super, super cute. The romance in itself wasn't all the way there, but again, like some of the other books, I was more interested in the family as a whole. I was more interested in the dog. The dog was so freaking cute in this audiobook, and just kind of the community, the small towns that they were in. It was just super freaking cute. That's my best way to explain this book. So I definitely recommend. It is a newer release. Everyone's been talking about this book lately, and it was just a really cute summer read. Then I read my first book ever on my Kindle. I'm still not over the fact that I have a Kindle. Like, it's crazy to me that I actually own one now. But this was the first book that I read on it, The Sweet Life by Portia McIntosh, I'm pretty sure. Really enjoyed this book. It was, again, so silly, so underrated, so not talked about, and so ridiculous, but I truly, truly, really did like it. I rated it 3.75 out of 5 stars. And this one, again, is based in the tropical vibes. It's based in Maui, Hawaii, which I've never read a book set in Hawaii for some reason. That's actually a shocker considering how bad I want to go to Hawaii. But this one was also chaos. Chaos in a big bundle. And then the chaos is just thrown everywhere, basically, because our main character, Gigi, which I didn't even realize her name was Gigi before I started the book, she's invited to her sister's wedding that's going to be taking place in Maui. But the problem is her sister's soon-to-be husband's best friend is Gigi's ex-boyfriend. So when everything was good, everyone was in happy relationships, they always did things together, but now that they're broken up recently, Gigi's ex is gonna be at that wedding. So that's a problem. He's gonna be at this wedding, but he's bringing his new side piece that is an influencer, like a very A-list top tier influencer. So Gigi in her head is like, how am I gonna live up to that? I need to find a wedding date. I can't go lonely and look like a loser, is what she put it. So basically that is the whole entire book of Gigi trying to find a wedding date in time for this actual wedding to play out. And she meets a lot of people on the way in Hawaii, very interesting people, very rude people to be honest, and she's definitely faced with some unexpected love, which I thought was super, super cute. So highly recommend this. This book and this author is extremely underrated, so I'm definitely interested in reading more books from this author moving forward, and I would really recommend this one. And then the last book that I finished actually this morning before I finished this video was The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Very anticipated release for me, you guys, and it was also my book club pick for July with my Patreons, and it was a disappointment. This was a really, really big disappointment, which sucks because, like I said, it was an anticipated release for me. Holly Jackson is a very loved author by me. The Good Girls Guide to Murder series is one of the best series that I've read in my entire life. So going into this one, my expectations were high and I sadly was disappointed, but I still rated it a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I enjoyed Holly Jackson's writing. I think it's just because I read such an amazing series that I love so much, and then this one just fell a little bit flat, which sucks when you're reading more books on an author's backlist, I feel like. But if you did really enjoy the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, you are getting very similar vibes in this book, I feel like, because our main character, Belle, she lost her mom when she was only 2 years old. Well, she didn't lose her, she went missing, and for 16 years she had no idea where her mom went. So there's this whole documentary being filmed about the disappearance of Rachel Price, but when they're filming this documentary, Rachel just appears out of nowhere. So then obviously it is the reappearance of Rachel Price, and Belle's figuring out that Rachel's story isn't really adding up. There's a lot of secrets being kept, not only by Rachel but other family members as well. This was just a very dysfunctional family. Every single person in this family is basically a suspect, is what I realized. So it's definitely twisty, it's definitely gonna have you on the edge of your seat, but it is kind of slow. Every single scene that happens in this book is completely dragged out to the point that it does not need to be dragged out that much. This is a 430 page mystery book, which I feel like it did not need to be 430 pages. That as a whole is just too long for like a mystery thriller in my opinion, but especially from Holly Jackson, and her books are normally fast paced, it did not need to be that long. So I feel like at certain points it definitely got slower, but the plot still kept me hooked to the point where I got through the slow parts specifically to see what was gonna happen next. The book was good overall, I would say. The ending was a little bit disappointing, but my biggest thing was if it was a little bit shorter, I feel like I would have enjoyed this so much more. But those are all the books that we ended up reading in the months of June and July. We talked about a lot of books. My reviews were definitely all over the place, and I apologize for that because I truly don't know how I feel about half these books, you guys. I don't even remember reading half of them. So hopefully you guys got my points across. I'm sorry for the chaos, but I really hope you guys still enjoyed this video. And if you guys did, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff you guys know how to do. Let me know what books you guys read this month, or the last 2 months, I should say. And let me know what books you guys are excited to pick up in August. I'm making my TBR soon, and I would love to know what you guys are reading so I can get an idea, maybe some recommendations from it. And also while you're down there, don't forget to check out my Patreon to join my Patreon family. We have so much fun over there. They already got to see all these books that I read way before you guys did. And join our book club for our August read. Perfect timing if you guys click that link in my description today, so then you will be prepared to join our August read. But other than that, I really hope you guys are having an amazing, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Yeah, I might be breathing just like everybody else, but I still don't feel alive. Then we would... Hello? There literally is no reason. I just truly did not like it.